Today we're talking about God's Gather Atlanta. God's Gather Atlanta. Have you been, if you're on I'm broadcasting on TikTok and Facebook right now. TikTok and Facebook. If you're following me, if you're here on TikTok, have you been following me for some time? Are you new here? So we all know how powerful we are, and everybody keeps talking about it. But I had a session with a woman who's studying to become an Ephah priestess yesterday. I've talked to Ephah priestesses over the years, as we all have. Uh, we're bored and tired, sick and disinterested. I've never been interested in the Black conscious community. Everybody was broke. Everybody was talking about power, but nobody was actually being power. Nobody was emanating abundance, really being abundant. I saw a bunch of performative smiles and talking just to talk, but nobody was living well. And well might not necessarily even mean multimillionaire status, because not everybody wants that. I mean, like eating well. I mean, abundant in how we connect with each other. I mean, engaging in projects that are like really taking up space in the world. I mean, traveling and doing things that your heart truly wants to do versus talking about everything that's in the way of us not doing what we want to do. And, all this big, I never connected with it. So that's almost like, an aside. This is not even about as if what we're doing is because that it's not even that. That's never even been a part of my makeup. It's just the more that I talk to Black folks who are either in the Black consciousness community or were in the Black consciousness community or feel like I have always felt. It's like, okay, so what? What are we doing? It's like right, that part. But then also, this feels like this woman told me I put together a retreat actually in Atlanta. It was called the Heart Retreat, and it didn't happen. I didn't do a good job of being ready. I just was like, let's go. So that's one part of it. But one thing that I learned that I was so, man, it was disheartening, really, was the number of us who were double minded. Here's what I mean by double minded. On the one hand, we have this desire to connect at all levels. When I say all levels, romantically, platonically, we want to be in business relationships that thrive. Like we want to be in harmonious, abundant relationships at all levels. So that is there. What's also there is that we don't actually believe it can happen. Like nobody is saying this out loud, or very few people, right? But we don't actually believe. So this one woman, another thing that happened was the Black women were showing up. They were ready to pay. Like I didn't open the door for people to pay because I was like, this is meant to be both male and female. So the Black women were showing up. The Black men were either hovering, like I could see them hovering, I could feel them hovering, or they would come in and there was a weak behavior and how they were behaving. And so multitude, a culmination of all those things was what contributed to my learning to be able to know what I know now. But then also the real heart and commitment that's required to really gather us. Like there has to be, if you inside don't really believe, like you're doing all the work that looks like you believe, but deep down you don't actually believe, it's double-mindedness, and there's going to be inner friction, and the result is not going to produce. If you actually follow through all the way to completion, and your completed result was it didn't happen, okay? And okay, back up for those of you who are like, well, Naima, continue. please, please understand what I'm saying, okay? Here's what I'm getting. I say all that to get to this piece about the gathering that's happening in Atlanta, and there's going to be several. Okay, we're meeting our first meeting. I don't even have the dates here in front of me, but I know our space is booked from I think March 13th until March 26th, and we're going to meet at least 3 times in between those dates. The link is with this video on Facebook, and the link is in my bio on TikTok if you're on TikTok, and it's Black Women Gods Gather. That you need to come with a full expectation of abundance. The more, like the last 3 years, I have been working, focusing on Black people. So I've been having so many conversations, even like the conversations that don't happen. I'm a woman, I'm advanced, I'm very connected with my body. A lot of times I don't even need to have a conversation with the person. I can feel into it. Women can do this. We can feel so much. We can feel inside of silence. We can feel even in a conversation. We can feel what's not being said. We know. We know. And hello, let me do something so I can see my. Okay, that helps me see better on TikTok. And there's such a longing. There's such a longing. And I had a conversation with a Black man who's into astrology, and he does like what's those natal charts? He does that, and uh, um, I was telling him, I was like, my Black men aren't saying it, but it's like they're looking for permission from Black women. They're looking for permission, and so um, it's like sort of like when you're out and about as a woman and you see a man look at you and he's sort of looking to see if you're going to give him the eye of permission to come over, kind of thing. And it's so sweet, actually. It's so cute. The problem is that we're this double-mindedness that we have of the desire, but then don't believe. So one point I forgot to make is one of the women who showed up for the heart retreat in Atlanta, who wanted to participate. We were on a Zoom meeting. It was like myself and 3 or 4 other women discussing this heart retreat and all that. And she was just like bubbling with excitement and like, yes, and da da da. And then she later emailed me and she was like, this is just so much my desire. And I can feel the part of me that's just waiting for the ball to drop. That's what she messaged. I'm just the part of me that, because it's like, let me ask you this. For those of you who are watching, whether you're watching as a replay or you're watching live, when and if you have really been by yourself and you have your own vision, right? Many of us have visions, we're just not talking about it out loud, okay? Or we're talking about it to the wrong people, right? And you have vision for what your idea of heaven on earth is, with us working in harmonious relationships in whatever that way that is, whether it's we're nurturing a house, whether we're building out a global community, right? So what we're doing here at Black Women Gods Gather, whether it's whatever, right? We just, so many of us have so many visions that require collaborative, harmonious relationships. It requires primal power. It requires truth to the highest degree. It requires laws and laws above laws. I mean, it requires truly everything that folks talk about but don't actually embody, right? Like that, to me, that's heaven on earth, okay? Like that's like, and that is my expectation and intent at Black Women Gods Gather. And so when you imagine that, for those of you who have imagined that, don't you just come on? Like you just like everything in you just comes on? Yes or no? I'm wondering who is watching me now who's like, yeah. And then very soon after that, or maybe after you get into action, something happens, or I don't know, your own darkness starts to rise. And then your double-mindedness and like all of your unconscious stuff creeps in and starts to taint it. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Grace. I'm wondering. I just lit my whole self up all over again, just talking about it. So when we gather multiple times in Atlanta in mid-March, details will be released on Sunday. Details for our multiple gatherings in Atlanta mid-March will be released on Sunday. And to express your interest, Put yourself on the info wait list with the link on Facebook with this video that you see. And on TikTok, it's with the link in my bio. So first of all, real power is soft. And this is the feminine, baby. Oh God, the divinity of all divinities. Do you hear me? Oh my goodness. These are relaxed experiences. Our space is bright. We have large windows with abundant natural light, which I love. That's one of the reasons I picked this loft in Atlanta. Abundant light, huge kitchen. And we're going to have a plan, a structure, and we're going to allow for so much spontaneity inside of the structure. Okay. Obviously, we're going to have communing and transformational work that we're going to do together. Obviously, that's going to happen. We're going to share a meal or two together. I haven't decided if we're going to prepare the meal together, if we're going to prepare the meal ourselves, if we're going to go out somewhere beautiful nearby, but that's on the horizon. And so there's the structure of like, these are the dates that we gather. And again, those dates will be released Sunday. If you want details about our gatherings, as much details that will be released, because in the spontaneity, there is no detail. There's the structure of the dates and the times, and then the spontaneity is in what we do inside of those dates and times, okay? So those details will be released on Sunday for Black Women Gods Gather in Atlanta, and we're meeting at least 3 times mid-March, somewhere between March 23rd and March 26th. So the heaven on earth that many of you have imagined, and we may or may not share visions, okay? However, um, gosh, it's such a deep feeling, and I really is, for me, in my mind, my job is to cultivate the space, be the space where that happens naturally. We're so much more. We're so much more. I am so uninterested in, don't you, do you feel what I'm putting down? Do you feel like, I want all of us to really soften around all of our ideas that we've created to keep ourselves out of whatever abundance we crave. Like, we all have them. Whatever story. When I say abundance, I mean all of it. The stories that you tell yourself about why women are like this, why you are like this, why your money is like this, why you live where you live, why your body looks the way it looks, why men are like this, why your children are like this, why society's like that. Like, all the walls and the tenseness and the strong conviction of your limited beliefs and the defending of your limitations and the story making and the real, like, the way you've nurtured the reason why you can't and don't, even if on the outside you look like this big, strong, powerful, resourceful, capable, rich. It's like, on the inside, the things that really matter to you are saturated in scarcity thinking and fear and isolation. And when you feel, not just like read a book about it and get all into these masculine ways that we try to fix things and make it work and control it and right, but when we can soften, like, calm down. And that's why space is important and light is important. Dark is important too. But light and, like, being in a space where it's okay to get it wrong, and I don't have to have the answer for everything, and I don't need to look a certain kind of way, and I don't have to be a black woman. How about that? How about that? All of the 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 ways that black woman has been dirtied and oh Lord, the burdens of it all. Stop. Just stop. You know, part of me, even with like coming to Atlanta, even with coming to Atlanta, feels like I'm, you know, placing myself inside of the whole black mind and all the limitations of the black mind and oh God. And do you know who you are when you're free of all this limited being? Yeah, Sue said just be. Do you know what we can create when we actually allow the elixir of melanin devoid of black consciousness that fucking poisons it so often? Okay. That when we actually harness who we are at a heart level, at a pussy level, at a dick level, at a primal level, when we really purify ourselves, do you know what the fuck we can do? That's what I want. That's heaven on earth. Where you like you want to talk about universal law? How about the laws above universal law that allows us to really come and take real riveting effect here? How about that? Do you want that? Or you just want to drink your green juice and go to Bali and talk about the deities and how we know we are children of the Most High? And oh my God, but this system of things is trash for Black people because, oh my God, like, make up your mind. Make up your mind. Huh? How about you becoming so devoid of the limitations of your own creation and so devoid of the limitations that you have inherited that you're able to magnetize, create, do, be whatever it is that is truly in your heart. So it goes from just existing here and you actually are able to bring it out into the world. How about that? How about that? Does that appeal to you? We have lots of reasons to stay small. I'm not saying we don't have lots of reasons to stay small. Oh, people are not going to like me. Oh, my husband's not going to want to fuck me anymore if I don't pretend to play small and play the feminine role. Are we going to talk about that? Yeah. I'm not going to be appealing to men anymore if I actually come into my divine feminine power because part of so much of the male's manhood is depending on me playing small and performing inside of this fake feminine role where I alter my voice and I pretend to not know things so he can feel like he's teaching me and I pretend to enjoy sex and I play this role to make sure I keep him around. I know I end up being sick and resentful and cancer and less of who I am, but at least I get to keep this male person around and my bills gets to be paid. I mean, like, are we going to talk about that? Like, right? Or are you going to look at the fact that your time here on this earth is limited? Like, that's a guarantee. If nothing else is a guarantee, like you see your mother, right? You saw your grandmother, right? Like, so what you going to do? Do we need to go there? Do we need to wait until you end up in the hospital with cancer? Do we need to wait for that? Okay. Do we need to wait for one of your kids to reflect back to you the scarcity that you have lived? Do we need to wait for that? Is that what we need to do? Do we need to keep going in those kinds of cycles? Or, so that's the pain route. Most of us have very abundant relationships with pain and just letting that shit linger for, we'll have back pain for years and do nothing about it. Cancer just growing in our body and we don't even know until we end up in the hospital handicapped. I don't know. Do we want to keep going that route? Or would we like to focus on the heart and light of it? Which direction do you want to go? Which direction have you been going? Can we focus on the last time you did it? I don't know. When was the last time that you gave yourself the time and space to sit down and be quiet for like, I don't know, 3 days? Breathe a lot. To feel yourself, to feel what it feels like to be in your body, to ask questions and actually wait for the answers and hear the answers and respond to them. to have sex, to make love, and really relax around it without it being performative sex, without doing it because he needs it, but you're tired, but you don't really want to do it. I don't know. How about that? Or pleasuring yourself. How about that? When's the last time you just laid down and rubbed your body to get to know your body? When is the last time you actually took 10 steps in the direction of your heart's desire? Not one step, not two steps, 10 steps, 20 steps in the direction of your heart's desire. When's the last time you had a vulnerable conversation with somebody who you care about and who you love? When's the last time you stopped doing it and let other people know that you need them to do it? When's the last time you actually spoke out of your mouth the things that you know that nobody else is talking about? I'm not interested in our limitations. I'm not interested in the pains. You can go to there's plenty of people who will commiserate with you about that. I'm not interested. I'm interested in what sets your soul on fire. What, when it swells up so much in you, all your limitations burn? What about that? My commitment, wow, you can benefit from all the pain you've been through. When I say benefit, I mean the fulfillment, the satisfaction that you're actually looking for. A lot of us don't even care about millionaire, multimillionaire status. What we really want is the satisfaction of us bringing the heaven on earth that we know and hear, that we bring it out. That's what many of us want. That's what we're hungry for. And what we're either actively, consciously, or unconsciously looking for is the environment where that gets to be nurtured. And for women who are sincere about the divine feminine, we need the feminine environment that allows that. And most men don't know how to cultivate, of course, right? They don't know how to cultivate that. They learn that being in a relationship with women who are embodying the divine feminine. My commitment is that the way that I have said, use me, I'm available. Use me, I'm available. The way I have clawed at the laws above laws and given myself over and lowered myself into the lower realms, and have even been so determined that even the peripheral that could be good enough, the peripheral of truth that could be good enough, that is good enough for most people. But in staying in the good enough, I still wouldn't access and be available for the full, for the all. Such a sacrifice, it's such a surrendering, it's such a submission that is not of this world. And in my lowering and lifting, and at a heart level, sincerely, like, use me, I'm available, let's go. That in my usage, the space that we craft together, and fully trusting that everything that comes is informing what wants to come out unconsciously, collectively. Wow. I just don't see this happening anywhere else around the world. I'm no longer afraid of being killed. That was a big fear of mine for some years. I'm no longer afraid of being seen through. I'm no longer afraid of something unconscious to me. And I'm no longer afraid of what somebody could do. I don't feel the need to protect. I don't feel the need to defend. I don't feel the need to explain. This is the point that I want all of us to get to in our own way, because the heaven on earth that lives in our hearts, it sounds very flowery and it sounds very positive and good. And it is in many ways. However, the gateway from where you are now, you, under the sound of my voice, where you are now, to actually bringing that to life is hell. It's hell. I, for the first time, came online in 2011. Hi, The Rich Voice. 2011, I published my first video on YouTube. And it was terrifying to do that. And the only thing I had, when I first published that video, I didn't know anything I didn't even know a coaching industry existed. I didn't know anything about coaching and making money. I knew none of that. All I had was this thing that was in me. Like so many of you have this thing that just, you know, it's beyond your own cognition. It just drives. That's all I had at the time. There was nobody black online I could see that was modeling, that was motivating the way y'all see coaches every damn where online. That was not happening in 2011. And following that is what moved me initially. And at that time, in my ignorant, naive, green existence, all I had and thought was, I just want to help people. That's it. That's all I had. That's all I had. I just want to help people. I just want to help people. I just want to help people. Ooh, I didn't know that helping people would send me through hell. I didn't know helping people would mature me like this. I didn't know helping people would require that I submit, surrender. I didn't know that helping people would bring all this race stuff into the equation. I didn't used to market to black people because I didn't feel like I needed to. I'm black. Hello. So I didn't think race would be a part of the equation. I wasn't aware of how much this matters, how much wealth consciousness matters, and that I can want to, just like I want to so bad. I want to. I don't realize wanting is not enough. Hi, Jesse. Get a profile photo, Jesse. And 12 years later, I've been in court with clients who I was so on their side. Wow. I've seen such ugly in myself and in others. I've grown so much in wisdom around the absolute power of the unconscious mind. I don't care how much control and power and conviction and intelligence and data you think you got, the unconscious will win every single time. This is why Shadow Gold is my master course. You can go argue with your gods on that. I've also seen beauty that I just can't unsee. It's hard. It's very hard. And when you're true, it will show. It will show in what you do, the actions you take, where you persevere when you have every reason in the world to quit. Good reasons. Everybody would encourage you to quit, including you. Running out of money, sleeping in the car, all of it. Many are called, few are chosen. I heard that, like many of y'all heard that. I heard that before. And it sounded so, it's very ego filling, isn't it? Many are, I'm chosen. I'm chosen because I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the Most High. Well, your behavior is showing me you really just want to be uh, living in a nice house in the suburbs with a trip maybe once a year, living a simple life, kind of maybe considering what you actually supposed to do as a child of God. You see what this is what I'm talking about. This is why I used to be so like, girl, uh-uh. When she's serious, it's gonna show. You don't even have to ask, it's gonna show. Black women gods gather as heaven on earth from me. So details are going to release on Sunday. I'm really, excitement don't even begin to capture the word. I feel like there's some some non-English word to describe the deep felt sense that I feel about this. So we're starting in Atlanta and we will grow to other cities around the world. The cities I have in my mind are New York, London, Miami, Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, and then some other places abroad. And leaders, I want leaders to run these spaces. And bit by bit, really to the degree that, like I talked about earlier about being used, I know that it's what wants to come out, not what I want to come out. This is pioneering work, ladies. But all the TikTok videos I'm seeing with black women, this is our time, and still scared and not showing up, right? Complaining about the systems and talking about the end of times. Folks been talking about the end of times for hundreds of years, so it will continue to be the end of times. Okay. There's a primal power to unleash, that I know for sure. And the space in between who you are now and you bringing your heaven on earth out in relationship with other people who are doing the same is a version of hell. It will be difficult. You're not going to do it in a vacuum. You're not going to do it alone. You're going to do it with your likeness. As I say in my closing, I'm here every weekday at 8 a.m. Pacific on TikTok and Facebook. This is God Power Live with Naima, where Black women gods come to connect with their likeness and refine their emotions so we can do what we came here for. That's my word for today. If you want details about Black Women Gods Atlanta, which drop on Sunday, there's a link in my TikTok bio to express your interest. Admission will range between $300 and $1,000, depending on if you just want to come to one gathering, if you want to come to everything that we're doing. The price will range between $300 and $1,000. The link is in my bio on TikTok, and the link is here with the video on YouTube. Thank you, The Rich Voice. You all have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.